on the computer. I never know if it's like record on the computer or record on the cloud. I don't even know. But, all right. Can everybody hear me? Hopefully so. Yeah. Say hi in the chat. How's your week going so far? All right. So I want to talk about normalizing fears this week. And we wanted to kind of bring on some new faces because we wanted to hear from you guys. So I think Brielle's got a couple girls that she's going to chat with, and I'm going to chat with a couple of my girls. But we just kind of wanted to, we've been doing a lot of talk this month on mindset. And I feel like that is like sometimes the number one thing that holds us back. And especially for me, like y'all know that held me back for so long. And fear was one of the biggest things for me because I had so many coming into this business. But I think that we don't talk about enough that we all have the same fears. We all probably felt the same way whenever we first joined. So I just kind of want to talk about it a little bit. And then at the end, I'll wrap it up with some tips on fear. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask a couple questions to Karen. So Karen, I'm going to unmute you. Hopefully that worked. But you guys, I know that you're probably super nervous. You're probably fearful for this Zoom, like in general. But like the first Zoom, if this makes you feel any better, my first Zoom that I talked on, Em asked me to talk, and I think, and Brielle was talking on that one too. It was the one that's called mental chatter, something like that. And it was the first Zoom I'd ever talked on. There were probably over 200 women on that Zoom. Okay. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We can do 11. Okay. We can do 11. So we're going to take baby steps, but I want to like, what's the word? I want us to be a little bit more tight-knit community in that Better Together chat. I want us to lean on each other. I want us to get to know each other a little bit more, and just to know that there are other people on this team that are going through the same thing that you're going through, even though you think you're probably alone, you're not. So we're going to start it off with Karen. I want Karen to just kind of like talk about your journey a little bit. You started back in April. And just kind of tell us kind of like why you got started, and did you have any fears whenever you first joined?
Yes, and I wake up with fears every single day because this whole networking thing is new to me. I've never done this before. I tried slinging Avon, but that was something totally different than what this is. I didn't have to interact with people. I could just post products and they could go to my website and buy stuff, and then that was it. Mm-hmm. This is like interacting with people, and I know I've been in customer service like my whole life, but this is a different level. And I started in a business because I was using the products first, and the products were making me feel like so much better than I was, and I didn't know that it was possible to feel that amazing with something that was natural, because that was the biggest thing that sold me on the products, was that they're all natural. Mm-hmm. So when I started feeling and noticing a difference in how I was living my life because of the products, I came to you and was like, how do I become a promoter? How do I enroll? How do I share this? And you just kind of walked me through everything, and then you enrolled me, and I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't come into it thinking it was going to be like a get rich quick thing. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting that at all. I don't know why some people do. I think that is the biggest common misconception with different kinds of MLMs is people think that they are get rich quicks. Like you're going to get that. Now, obviously with this, you can hit the ground running and get that 800. That didn't happen to me. I'm a little bit of a turtle in this because I'm trying to process everything, trying to learn everything, trying to figure all of this out and how I can interact without selling salesy and get stuff out there at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you fell in love with the product and you were like, so like this is easy for me to talk about because I feel so good.
Right.
And that's kind of like where I started. I actually started with no network marketing experience too. And that was one of my biggest fears. I was like, I've never done this before. So like, how can I do something I've never done before? It's completely, I had no customer service background at all. And I was like, I'm not a salesperson. So like, I don't really understand, but like, maybe I can get my free product credit. Like, that's where I started. I was like, maybe I can earn my products for free, Sean, and like, we'll be golden. And it wasn't until a little bit later down the line that my debt surmounted my mortgage payment on a monthly basis. And I was like, ouch, this kind of hurts. And we were picking up overtime, both of us. Ouch, that kind of hurts. And we were sleeping one night in the same household. Ouch. My husband said, I feel like I have a roommate. Ouch. And then all these little ouches started adding up. And I was like, okay, hold on. Like, so I see that they, like, some of these leaders have paid off huge amounts of debt. So like, why can't I do it? I still love the product. And I feel like that's one thing that sets us apart a little bit, is that we do have a product that is, what's the word? It's a consumable product, and it's something that people are going to be buying on a monthly basis, right? It's not like a product that people are going to buy and then they don't need anymore for like 6 months. So it's easier for us to grow that customer base, because they're going to be using it every single month. But for me, that vision wasn't there in the beginning. The fears were there in the beginning for me, of that I have never done this before, that I didn't want to be a salesperson, that I was really worried about what other people were going to think about me. That was just kind of like, I think it was ingrained in my brain in high school. I was a homecoming queen. And that sounds like super petty, but like, I cared about what people thought about me because I thought that that's what was important. I thought those senior superlatives that everybody wanted to be Miss Popular, right? Everybody wanted to be the prettiest. Everybody wanted to be the best at whatever sport that they did. And it was all attention seeking. And so whenever I joined this business, I was like, what are people going to think about me? Are they going to think that I'm being salesy? And what if it doesn't work? And yes, there was a growing period for me in the beginning where I had to really learn how to do this. I had to learn how to talk to people. I had to learn how to listen to people whenever they would ask me questions about the business, but I had to learn about myself too. What would you say, like, are some of the things that you've learned just in these first couple months in your business?
That think of how to word it.
You learned how to get uncomfortable.
Oh, that I've already surpassed that, because, and even starting the products, I had come out of my depression. Like, I was in a really dark place and I came out of that. And it was like, when I came out of that, all of those fears of what people thought of me went out the window with that. So that wasn't a factor in my head, but trying to come out of that and then be successful for my family is what I focus on, because I had lost so much living that way that it's not worth going back to that. So I'm going to do what it takes, because I don't have a plan B. This is it for me. I have my little grocery store job that I go to a couple of days a week, but this is it for me. So I don't care how many times I have to revamp my pages. I don't care how many times I have to, try to get products in-house so I can sling them out the trunk of my car. It doesn't matter. They are why I am doing this. So I've learned more so a lot about me than I have just about like the business aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the business aspect of it, I learn every day in the training videos, on the team page, in the group chats. what I see, how people are saying, what their customers are saying about each and every product, so that if somebody ever comes to me with a question, that was already asked and answered, and I've got that for them. So it's a learning process for me, and kind of like having ADD, it's a little bit slower for me maybe, but it's going to be worth it in the end because I'm going to keep showing up every day.
Yep. And you learn and you grow along the way, and it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be scary, but that's the only way to tackle it is action. That's the only way to get through fear, is to push through the action and actually do it. One thing that I'll share with you real quick that I don't know if you guys know or not, but right before I graduated college, I went skydiving, and it was probably the scariest thing I've ever done. I don't know. Between that and having a baby, I really didn't think I could push a baby out of my vagina, but that happened twice, like back to back, but whatever. I really didn't. Okay. Did you think that you could do it, mamas, for your first baby? You were probably terrified. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God. Maybe it was just because I was a nurse and I was like going through all the horror stories, like, hey, this is what's going to happen if this, and this is going to happen if that. But I went skydiving, and I don't know how that like came about in my head that I wanted to do that, but I had a long relationship that had failed, and I was just trying to find myself again. And I had realized that I had like let that relationship become my identity for the longest time. And so I was just kind of like doing me. And I was like, Mama, I was telling her and my brother, I was like, I want to go skydiving. And my brother was like, I'll go with you. And my mom was like, I'll go. And if you don't know my mom was like, I'm like the mom. She's like the kid. She's already gone twice and I've only gone once. But we went skydiving, needless to say. And I was like, I wasn't fearful until the day I got there. I was like talking it up. I was like, I'm so excited. Like, we're going to have pictures. We paid for the video to go like down with us, and we have it all recorded and everything. But like, I wasn't scared until I got there, until they started teaching me, okay, this is what you're going to have to do to make sure that you're doing it right. And you go through this training process, and then you have to sign the waiver. And I remember sitting there and I was literally like shaking, and I was like reading all of this, and it was talking about how like a goose could fly in front of the plane and like all these things could happen. And I look over to my mom and I was like, Mama, I was like, are you going to sign this? And she goes, do you want to go skydiving or not? And I was like, well, yeah. And she goes, don't read it, just sign it. If you want to go, this is the price that you have to pay to go. So you have to put your name on the paperwork, and we're just going to do it. Okay. So I signed the paperwork. We get up there in the plane. It's just me and her, because it's like this little aircraft. You're strapped onto somebody, and it's like really tight, okay? And I was really nervous to go first, because I was like, if I go first, she's not gonna go. And then like if she goes first, I'm not gonna go. Somebody's gonna chicken out, and I didn't want it to be her that chickened out, so I wanted her to go first, but she didn't go first. I went first, okay? And there's no fear out there. Like it's totally different when you're in an airplane versus when you're in an airplane with the door open, and like you see your fate in front of you, and you have to get to the edge of that airplane. I'm telling you, you literally, because you're hooked to somebody's chest, you have to get to the edge of that airplane. You're literally hanging out before the dude pushes you out. And it was the scariest moment of my life to have to put like that whole fear aside and just say, this is what's happening, this is what I'm doing, and just let go and go. And it was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. It was like floating. It was not even like falling. If you ever have a chance to go do it, I encourage you to go do it, because it's the most beautiful experience I've probably ever had, to go skydiving and just let that fear go. But like we get inside of our head, right, where we're reading the paper and like, well, if I go live, what is this person going to think of me? Or if I put up this post because it's what I'm feeling, what is so-and-so going to think? Are they going to think I'm talking about them? Or what if I have this conversation with this person and they decide not to be a promoter with me, right? We have all these fears, all these stories that go along inside of our head that keep us from playing the game. I'm going to pass it on to Brielle, I think, because Jess was dealing with Serenity crying in the background, so I'm gonna have to bounce back to her maybe later, or we might have to skip her all in all. But I'm gonna pass it over to Brielle. I know we've got a couple of other girls that want to talk too, but we are all so normal and we are all going through the same thing. So
Okay, I'm good, right?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So I have two girls that I am having come on here, just to talk about some fears that they had in the beginning that maybe they've conquered since they've started, and then maybe some new fears that they've had more recently that they're trying to overcome. So kind of maybe fears, you know, like I said, that they had and then they've been able to kind of overcome, and then fears that maybe are newer that you don't think. Sometimes we start this, and like for me, there were fears that I had in the beginning that I don't have anymore, but now there's been new fears that come up. Like every new level of leadership, there's new fears. Like my recent fears have been fear of leadership. Like, and I didn't really have that as much before because I didn't really have a team. And then recently it's just been this fear of like, can I do this? Am I able to do this? Like, you know, the more that your team grows, the more just other fears set in, or just feeling like I don't deserve this, or I am not capable, or if someone does leave your team, kind of those fears again kind of rising up, or new people coming on your team and feeling like, can I lead them? Am I able to do this? Like when every, you know, there's just all these different types of fears that I've been experiencing myself again. And it's like, you know, so I wanted to bring them on. So first I want to bring on Chandra. So Chandra, I just wanted to ask you, what are some fears that maybe you had when you were starting out, and maybe how you kind of overcame those fears, or what you did to kind of get through those?
Am I unmuted? Okay. So my biggest fear when I started was what other people thought of me. And I started this back in May of 2018. I was with LaBelle, but I was with a different team. And I was with them from May of 2018 until October of 2019. And I literally got nowhere. And when I say nowhere, I had one customer order 1 month and another customer order another month, and that was it. So having the fear of starting all over with a new team, and what people were thinking about me, people were talking about me, this is a scam, is she gonna fail again? And it took me a long time to realize why I was really doing this. And I was really doing this for me. I was doing it for my family and other people out there who needed this and who could benefit from this system, which we all know somebody who can. And it really took me a long time to really understand that and to be able to overcome that. But I think when we really focus on why we're doing this and what the goal is, not just the here and now goal, but the long-term goal, it makes it a little bit easier, because we have those fears of what other people are thinking about us. But someone said this to me and it like really hit me, and it was like, what other people think about you is none of your business. And I was like, ooh, but it is my business. And no, it's not. Because also I think with these fears, especially of like what other people think, is, are there people really out there like talking about us? Probably not. Like we create these like scenarios, and I know Brielle's talked about this. It's like we create all these scenarios in our head, and half of them aren't even true. And I realized how much time I was wasting thinking about who was talking about me, what could they possibly be saying, whether or not it was a scam. And none of that stuff mattered because of why I was doing this. I was doing this to be the best mom that I could. Second time around, I was pregnant with my daughter. So I definitely needed this because I had a toddler at home, and then I was going to have a newborn baby. So I knew how much this system could help me, and I knew how much this system could help other moms out there. And I feel like as moms, we all can relate to that, because everybody out there at some point in their day is tired, or exhausted, or is struggling to get through the day. And so just getting over that fear of other people's opinions and what they think of what we're doing is just really something that we can't consume ourselves with. So.
Oh, sorry. I was like doing the recording to put on my stories. I was like doing a little like recording thing to put on there. Oh, that's good timing. So what are some fears that maybe recently that you've been going through that you can kind of, because I think not just fears, okay, yeah, I had this fear and now I'm conquered it and now I'm this like fearless person, but like I said, kind of current fears that maybe we're currently going through and we haven't figured out yet. And because every new level there's going to be a new fear or a new challenge or a new kind of step and things that we need to go through or grow through. So what is a fear that maybe lately you've been having that you're trying to overcome?
So it's kind of funny you asked this question, because I've been struggling with it all month long. So I still haven't quite conquered it yet. So I don't know if I have the right answer, but fear of failing. And
You're okay.
I really had to just figure out, I've really been working on figuring out what is like what the definition of failing is. And because at the beginning of this month, I was like, okay, if I have a $0 paycheck one Tuesday, that means I'm failing. If I don't have somebody who wants to order or reorder in my inbox, I'm failing. Or if I don't have somebody who wants to, join my team, I'm failing. And that's the mindset that I went into with August. And it literally crippled me for like 2 weeks. And I had to kind of like take a step back and look at how far I've come. I'm trying not to get emotional. Just really look at how far I've come since October, and how not even just the business, but like it's not about the business. It's about the growth that we have as individuals, and then the business aspect comes with it. How I'm talking to my spouse, how I'm talking to myself, what kind of example maybe 6 months ago was I setting for my children of the type of mom that I was, as opposed to today. Like how we handle situations, like how do we handle stress? How do we handle like financial struggles? How are we just like handling mom life or just life in general, as opposed to how we're handling things now, as opposed to a month ago or 3 months ago or six months ago? Like, how much growth have you had in that aspect of your life? Because yeah, the business part is great, but how much internal growth do you have? And I feel like that is so much more important, because it's just like that wisdom. Like when you get more wisdom, like as we get older, we should have more wisdom. And as we have more wisdom, we're able to handle situations better. We're able to just have that like growth. So yes, it's more of your like mindset, and how many people have you helped maybe in the business aspect? Like how many more conversations have you had? Yes, you maybe had a 0 paycheck that week, but what can you do differently this week to ensure that that doesn't happen next week, or to take that one step further for next week? So one thing that I found was success is not final failure. It's not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And so that like really hit hard to me this month. And like that has been my goal, is to, yeah, I've had a hard 2 weeks of August and I let that debilitate me. But what am I going to do these last 2 weeks of August to step it up and to do better? And I feel like failure is just a real growth process, and you really don't truly fail until you are quitting and you're like, I'm done. So I don't really have the right answer on that because I'm still working on it.
Oh, I love that so much. I love how you said too, like, you know, the first 2 weeks of this month were really hard for me. And so I'm just trying to readjust and kind of see, you know, how I can end the last, like, you know, what, week and a half or so that we have left of this month. And I think so many times we'll just completely give up on the month and we'll be like, you know what, like, I'm done. Like, I didn't set out on my goals that I wanted to this month. So you know what? When it's September, I will. So I'm just going to coast along the rest of this month. And then when it's September, I'll revamp and I'll set my new dream board and I'll do all those things. And so I love that you touched on that it's like a day-to-day, sometimes hour by hour process with us, that it doesn't have to be like a new week or a new month. It can literally be, it's the middle of the day and you haven't done your IPAs yet. You can still do them at 9 o'clock at night. It doesn't have to be, you know, everything done straight in the morning. I do most of my IPAs at night anyways. I might do some in the morning and then I do some at nighttime. Mainly a lot of it's at nighttime. So, and that's just me. You have to do whatever works best for you. But I loved that you touched on that. I think that's something that I can definitely relate to as a fear and as of failing. I had that. That's been something I'm growing through as well, is failing and everything just falling apart. But the beauty, like the thing of it is I've gone through not re-ranking before. I've gone through months and months of zero paychecks or not thriving for free or not enrolling anybody, and was still able to keep going and feel excited about this business. And I think that's the beauty of a longer journey, is you learn through that process to really enjoy the process. You learn through that longer journey of building a business, which I think is most of us. I think the M story of joining Thrive and going 200K and in 5 months is the not normal. That is the like not normal. The normal is like, but I love that they say, like Katie will say, you know, it didn't take me 6 months or whatever, however long to go 200K. It took her 5 years, you know, because she was building her network. She had been in the industry for that long. It's just like if you're a teacher, right, and you were to switch schools, you're not going to say when you go to that new school, yeah, I've only been a teacher for 1 year. You're going to say I've been a teacher and I am the teacher I am because I've been teaching for 10 years. I taught at this school for 9 years and I've accumulated all of the teacher stuff and all of the resources and all of the knowledge and all of this. And I'm a good teacher and my students are doing well and able to, maybe they're able to teach their students better, or they're getting better grades or getting better scores because of all the experience that teacher has. It's the same thing with this industry. You know, someone's coming in with their network, or they're coming in to this new thing with their experience that they've built over time. So that just made me think of that too, especially with school. My son's starting pre-K tomorrow and I've been having a conniption. It's fine.
It's fine. We'll all make it through tomorrow. Another
I know. So next I wanted to bring on Dory. She is a mama as well, and she started with me pretty much around the same time. Sending all the love. Thanks, Olivia. So she started with me around the same time, and so I wanted to bring her on as well. This is her first time speaking on a Zoom, so I know this is probably going to be a fear already that she's conquering right now, and she's going to kill it. But so Dory, what was some fears that you had kind of going into this when you first started? And then second question is kind of what are some fears that you've been going through currently, lately, and all of those things. Dory, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. I'm wearing headphones for like the first time ever with this laptop, so I'm just making sure. So I would probably say like my fear in the beginning was that I had to fit into this mold of you want to do this only because you want to be a stay-at-home mom. And that's the only reason why. And in the beginning, that was like a big part of my reason. I wanted to be at home with my kids. I wanted to have that time with them because they're only going to be this young for so long. And then they're going to be grown and they're going to be gone. And so for me, that was a big thing. But I was feeling like I had to fit into this mold that other people had already created. And I was like trying to fit myself in there. And I'm like, I just don't fit. It's just not, it's just not right for me. I work in a restaurant and I love working outside of my house without my children. And I say that, and sometimes I feel like, oh, that makes me sound like a bad mom. But then I'm like, no, like I love my kids unconditionally, but fitting into this mold of wanting to be like a stay-at-home mom and be home all the time, I did that when COVID happened. We switched our schedules. We were home. My son was home all the time. The baby was here. And I was like, I couldn't do this. I would be shipping my kids off to boarding school by the end of the time. Like it was way too much for me. So I guess like in the beginning that was a thing for me. Like I felt like I just needed to fit into, like, if you're doing network marketing, well, it's because you want to be home with your kids, or because you want to quit your job, or because, something like that. And I'm like, but so I tried to fit into that mold for a really long time. And it's only been like recently that I was like, no, you know what? I really do enjoy working outside of my house. I really do enjoy getting up and going to work and spending that time away. It's like the heart grows fonder when you're away. And when I come home, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad to be home with my family and with my kids. But I enjoy that time by myself where I can talk to other people that, are doing the same thing as me, or just talk to customers in the restaurant. And so I guess that was like I don't know if it was like really a fear. It was more like something that I just like had to work through, was to figure out like where exactly I wanted to be when it came to this business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so much sense. And well, what I put in the chat was that you were trying to have someone else's why. You were trying to have the why that you felt like was the only why for this type of industry, that to be good in network marketing, or to be in network marketing, you had to be a full-time family, be making six figures, have this big dream house, have these nice cars, have this. And I remember feeling that same way, that same like an intimidation, or like feeling less than, because I wasn't living this certain lifestyle, or I didn't have this certain type of Instagram. And I think, we get lost in that. We get lost in trying to figure out our why. And I think that takes time, and we got to give ourselves time and grace for that. But I love that you touched on that, because that's so true. And I remember you would say that, like, this is my why. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's what I want. And I think recently I have seen you kind of own, like, you know what? No, I work at a restaurant and I love working at a restaurant and I love doing that. And this is why I'm doing this. And I feel like I've seen your posts are so much brighter and your smile is so much bigger, because you're owning your story. You're owning who you are. You're owning, yeah, this is my family. Yeah, we're a blended family. Yeah, I still work full time. Yeah, this is what we're doing. We're doing cloth diapers. Yeah, like whatever it is that most people are gonna hate on, or people might have an opinion on, you've owned it. And I've seen that confidence bloom in you, and I think it's just been a beautiful thing to see. So have there been any kind of like recent, or like maybe lately, some fears that you've been having and going through that you can kind of share with us?
Um, I think more recently it hasn't really been that many like fears. It's been more of like, because I don't have, this isn't my plan A, like this is just a side business for me, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So for anyone that is like, this is not my plan, like I have a plan B, this is my plan B. So this isn't like all my eggs are in this basket. Like, no, I love my job that I work at, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think I think it's been more of like me, I don't really have any like fears attached to this business right now. It's not, I think it's more like I just am more encouraging others that have those fears or those doubts about, oh, you know, this is, maybe this isn't what I want to do 100% of the time, like, because I've had those conversations with people. They're like, I want to go work a day at another place, or I want to go and, pick up a part-time job, not because I'm not necessarily making money, but just because I need to do something for myself. And, I'm the kind of person that I'm like, you do you, like, you got to do what's best for you, whether it's be working that part-time job or whether it's, taking that day that you would work that part-time job or those hours and leaving your house and saying, okay, honey, or okay, mom, or okay, whoever, like, you got the kids for a couple hours or however long. I'm going to go and like really take my time and invest into this business. So I think it's been less about like fears in like inside me, because I've really like taken the time to really be okay with where I'm at in my life lately and be okay with that. Yes, we're living with my parents while we save for a house. Yes, my son goes to his dad's house every other week and he's gone. Yes, we just bought a brand new car that we were terrified to do because our cars were broken down for over 2 weeks and it was time, so it's like have had a lot of things happen, as I'm sure everyone has in their life, that have kind of formed them into the people that we are today. And I've just come recently to be like, those things happened, but it doesn't make me any less than Brielle. It doesn't make me any less than Chandra or Amber or Karen or anyone. It doesn't make me any less than the person sitting next to me. It just makes me my own person. And it's okay for me to be different than you. It's okay for me to feel differently about things than you. There's nothing wrong with that. And people that think that there is something wrong with that, that's not my problem. So it's been more about me just being more accepting of myself and just being more like, this is where I'm at, and that's okay. And if you don't agree with that, that's okay. That's not my burden to bear. That's your burden to bear, because you're creating the things that are wrong with me. And I don't see that it's wrong with me. I've had a lot of things happen where people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like me cloth diapering my son. He will be 14 months. What's today? I don't even want to talk about it. In 2 days. It's fine. He'll be 14 months. We've been cloth diapering him since he was a month old. Do you know how many people told me, I'll give you 3 months? Oh, don't return all those disposable diapers because you'll want them. Trust me. Oh, you won't want to be like cleaning the poop off his diapers. Like, but here we are, 14 months. Do we use disposable still? Yes, it's fine. I'm fine with it. So it doesn't matter if anyone else is. My husband's fine with it. So it doesn't matter if anyone else is. But that's the kind of thing, like it's just been a lot more of like just accepting myself and my family and our situation for what it is, rather than trying to pick it apart and be like, what am I doing wrong or what isn't going right? I look more for the blessings in the day rather than what could have happened that would have been better. I look at, yeah, my 7-year-old drives me up a wall. He's crazy. It's fine. I love him. But there are days where I'm like, yes, just watch your tablet for 45 minutes so mommy can just think for a minute. But then there's days where I'm like, no, let's go to the park. So instead of me looking back and being like, oh my God, I let him watch his technology for 45 minutes while I like sat on the couch and was on Facebook or was on Instagram, like working my business, rather than me looking at that as a negative, I choose to look back and be like, we went to the zoo for 3 hours and he had so much fun. We had such a blast. I'm going to choose to take that positive memory rather than pulling all those things that I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Or, oh, I wish that didn't happen. Let's just leave those there. There's no reason to carry those around. take those positives and just build them all up, because I promise you, you fill your insides with positives, oh my gosh, you're just going to be overflowing with it. And that's it. That's all I got.
I could listen to you keep talking. You're doing so good. Why have we not had you on a Zoom? You've been a part of this for over 2 years. Why have we not had you on a Zoom yet? Oh my gosh, that was so good, Dory. That was so good. Oh my goodness gracious. And I thank you for sharing like a part of your story, because I obviously don't want to tell your story even though I know it, but that was so good. And I know I needed to hear that, because I'm telling you, the minute that you own, and I think I did a Zoom on this one time, owning your story, the minute that you just own it and you just are like, you know, yeah, this is where I'm at, you know, this is where I'm at. I'm still at 4K and I'm rocking it. I'm still at, you know, I'm still haven't hit 4K and I'm rocking it. I still haven't enrolled a customer in a month and I'm still rocking it. And I don't have a team yet, but I'm still going to rock it. You know, we can apply that same that you just applied for your life, because we're going to experience that in life. And I think that's something that I've been going through personally, is a lot of that just personally, and me worrying about this and what if this happened and what if that happened, and oh my goodness, and things coming up from my childhood, you know, blocked memories that I've had, that things are coming up from my childhood that I've been trying to work through personally through therapy, to be quite honest. And so I know I needed to hear that tonight, because I've been in this whirlwind of like just getting stuck in those memories and getting stuck about things that happened 20 years ago and getting stuck and trying to figure everything out. All of those, Patrick. I can hear getting stuck in all of that and getting stuck in this whirlwind of, you know, things that maybe we've gone through or things that we did, or even as a mom, things that, oh my goodness, look at their life and look at, you know, I do that with people who have their husbands home. You know, I do that all the time with myself. And so I really appreciate you, Dory, sharing that, because there'll be a lot of times where I see people that have their husbands home and I don't have my husband home. You know, he still works full time. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I would love it if he was home and we could just, you know, be a full-time family. And just because we're not doesn't mean that my business is less than someone else who is a full-time family, you know? And so I really, really, really appreciate you sharing that. So thank you so much. Amber, is there anything else you wanted to say? Amber, you're still muted.
Sorry. See, no one's perfect. But I was just saying, like, I feel like I needed that Zoom so much more than y'all, because y'all were just like speaking to my little heart over here. Because especially when it comes to like owning your story and like just being you, I feel like a lot of us struggle with that fear of what everybody else is going to think about us. And then the fear that like we're not enough. We always like, we even have that fear in our life, right? We feel like we're not a good enough mama. We feel like we're not a good enough, you know, sister, whatever. I don't call my brother enough. And like all these things, all these like fears that come into our head that we drag around with us like a little ball and chain, and they trickle down into our business, and feeling like, well, maybe I'm not good enough to go live, or maybe I'm not good enough to go 4K, or maybe I'm not good enough to like have a team, because like I don't even know how I would lead somebody. And I feel like I have that fear that Brielle had in the very beginning. I didn't want a network marketing business. I didn't. I just like, I didn't have that big vision, that big goal whenever I first started. And it's just kind of like blossomed into something really beautiful along the way. But I was super scared whenever I remember asking Emma, I was like, do you think I should have a chat with like my own people? I asked Brielle too. And I was like, I just don't know. Like, because then like, they're all going to be looking at me, and they're all going to be like, what if I slip up, and what if I fail, and what if like they don't get from me what they need from me? And then like, what is that going to look like on me? Right. It's the same thing. I'm worried about what other people are going to think about me. But that fear of being a leader has been huge for me. I've kind of gotten over like my fear of going live and being a little bit more confident in my story, and just like, this is me. That was my goal for August is just to kind of like show up and just be me and know that like I am my secret sauce, and that you don't have to fit into that mold of being somebody else, and that yes, you can be the mama that cloth diapers, and yes, you can be the hippie chick that loves cars, Karen. Like you can be these weird like quirky things that you think nobody else is going to like that might be your superpower. That is going to be what makes you different. That is what's going to be that what connects other people to you. And with each level, there's going to be a new devil. Just like Brianna was saying, with each level, there's going to be new fears. It's not that we step into these new levels without the fear, it's that we're learning to dance with them anyway, right? You do a live video and you're scared to death, then you do another live video and it's not so bad, and then you do another one and it's like, hey, people are actually talking to me now, then you do another one, you just like get a little bit better, okay? But as you're stepping into your business, as you're stepping into leadership and you're bringing promoters in, they look up to you and they're going to rely on you, and you've got to be able to lead yourself first before you're going to be able to lead somebody else. And being able to look at fear differently as not a complete roadblock. I want you to think of it like a fog that you have to like walk through. You have to learn to get past that fog to be able to see the gain that you have on the other side, whether it be going live or talking to potentials or any like thing that you feel like is a roadblock in your business. Don't see it as a roadblock. Anything that makes you like a little bit of palpitations, makes you sweaty, and you're like, God, it just makes me really nervous. That's where you need to grow, and stop looking at it like, I can't do that because like it makes me so nervous and I'm not good at it. You have to look at it as like, there's my red light. Like I have to turn that red light to a yellow light to a green light. And it's all choice to walk through that fog and be like, you know what, I can learn from this, and there's so much more that I can gain on the other side of it. You're
Hold
not
on.
going to be fearless.
One of my girls, Alyssa, I was actually talking to her earlier about talking on the Zoom, but now she just said in the chat she wants to add something. So is that okay, really
Yes,
quick?
girl.
Okay. So Alyssa, if you want to unmute yourself really quick.
Hi, I've never done a Zoom before, so this is crazy. Hi. Okay, so one, like I was kind of scared earlier just because like who wants to do their first Zoom? No one, but hi, here I am. So real quick, like I'll make it super fast because I don't want to make it long. In the beginning, one of my fears was I was with another MLM a few years ago, and I know that a lot of girls come from like that kind of background, and one of my biggest fears was I burned a lot of bridges with that MLM because they made me do a contact dump, and I contacted everyone on my phone list and my contacts, and I thought for sure, I was like, oh, they're just gonna see me as like, oh, she's trying it again, oh, here she goes again, like let's not talk to her. I thought that people were going to like start ghosting me, and so that was a huge fear of mine in the beginning because I like finally had started to get friends, which because I'm not from Florida originally, and I didn't want them to like, leave me or anything like that. So that was a big fear of mine. But so I had to like realize what is scarier, being judged by other people or like letting myself down or not setting high enough expectations for myself. So like, would I rather be judged or would I rather let myself down? So in all, like you'd always rather, not that anybody should judge you and you shouldn't judge anybody, but you should always rather want to be judged than let yourself down, because like those are your goals. That's your future. And you're the one who creates that. So like you shoot for that, because in the end, like no one else is going to build your future for you. You have to do it. And then one of my other fears was also like my why wasn't big enough. I talked to Brielle about this all the time. I was like, I don't really have a why. My why was more like, why not? And so anybody else who like feels that, like that is okay to be like, why not? Like, why not just give it a whirl? Why not give it a go? Why not try it? But when we did the Zoom with Jessie Lee, I was like super convicted because she was saying like, when no one else is listening, what is your why? And so I had just kind of made up a why, which was to like make enough money so my husband doesn't have to do side work. And of course, like that's a great why to have, but that's not really my why. And so I started digging a little deeper, and I was just like, my why is actually to just prove everybody wrong. Because in my life, I have a history of starting something and quitting something. Always. It started when I was a kid. I wanted to play electric guitar. My dad bought me a guitar, and I stopped within 2 weeks, like my poor dad. I started painting. I stopped painting. I started photography, stopped photography. All of these things that I've like started and stopped. And I don't want this to be one of them, because I am sick and tired of letting myself down. I am one of the hardest working people that I know. I have so much drive, and I can do this. You just have to like change it in your head. I don't want to let myself down. So anyway, I just started digging deeper to find my real why. Like, what is it when no one really is listening? So it was just to like prove everybody else wrong. Because in the end, I don't want anybody to be saying like, I told you so. I told you it was fake. I told you it was a scam. I told you it wouldn't work. I'm gonna be like, no, that's not true. I mean, regardless, you come out of anything learning something. Okay, and I know that you guys asked a recent fear that you've gone through, so I'll just quickly say that. I was listening to a Jessie Lee podcast, and she convicted me yet again, so she's gold if you don't know. I didn't like doing Facebook Lives. I still am not a huge fan. I wasn't used to doing Facebook stories, and I didn't want to seem fake. Like, I want to be true to who I am, but I don't think I'm like that cool. Like, I don't think I'm that interesting. My life isn't that great. And I'm sure that a bunch of you guys like feel that way about your life too. Based off of like the laughs and the nods, I'm guessing like that's kind of the case. Like, what do you have to offer? But hello, hold on. Reading my notes because I was taking notes the whole time. I'm human. Hold on. Okay. So in her podcast, she was saying about her journey going through like to succeed, that you have to get out of your comfort zone. And she was saying, if you're one of those people who are like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. Oh, no, I don't do that. Like, that's just not me. That's not my thing. I don't like it. Like, I don't do that. I just don't do it. That ain't me. Well, if you're not if you don't go live, if you don't do your Facebook stories, if you don't like interacting with people, if you don't say happy birthday, like, it's important to be comfortable. Like don't, being uncomfortable is good, but like, don't go against who you are, I feel like, but step out of your comfort zone. If you are not stepping out of that comfort zone, you're limiting your growth and you're limiting your success. And so I think that's something that we all kind of know. So anyway, I started doing that at the beginning of August, and I was like, you know what? I changed my mindset. I was like, I mean, I'm not a 4K by any means, but I have to tell myself I am. I was like, I'm a 4K leader. I have a team who needs me. I'm a 4K leader. I have a team who needs me. And then last week I got my first promoter, and she's working on her first promoter right now. And it's just like within a couple of weeks of IPAs every day, consistency, and then getting rid of the I don't do that and just doing it. Like, shut up and do it, Alyssa. Like, the fruit came. So that was just super rewarding and exciting. So I'm working on overcoming that fear right now. And I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
Why are you guys not doing more Zooms? You are killing this. Don't ever doubt yourself. Don't ever doubt yourself. Thank you, Alyssa, for sharing that.
Oh, why'd you mute yourself? Back. All right. Well, we'll hop off. But thank you guys for speaking so much. I love to hear all y'all's stories and all y'all's voices, and just to kind of like level the playing field a little bit. Like, we are nobody special just because we created this stupid chat. It doesn't make us any more special. It doesn't mean that we are fearless. It doesn't mean like we are all stumbling through it. We wake up every day and we have no idea what we're doing. So just know that off the bat, and know that there's also days where we wake up and we don't want to do it. Okay, but we push forward and we do it anyways because we think forward to the person that needs us. And when you can move forward with your day and with your business with that mindset of, instead of, well, what's everybody going to think about me if I do X, Y, or Z? It's who needs my message if I do X, Y, or Z. Just because you don't think that your story matters doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. Was it Jason, I think, said, one of our CEOs said on one of the masterminds, not the one yesterday. I took some notes on the one yesterday, but I'll put them in the chat, but I didn't get very many notes out of that one. My kid was acting crazy, acting like a fool. But one of the things that stuck with me that Jason said one time was he said that your story, God, I'm not putting it right, but he's basically was saying that like you telling your story is breaking free someone else's prison. Just because you don't think it's good enough is not a reason not to share it. And just because you think it's different is not a reason not to share it. You have no idea the lives that you're about to change. So I'll end it at that. But anybody else have anything else they want to say? You guys killed it. I love you. All of you. All right, I'm going to end it. Y'all have a good night. Oh, I can't. Well,